Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the premiere of the Second Chance Players Readers Theater. I'm Jim Cruz, and I am the director of this group. You will understand that in the next hour. During this time, we'll present a sampler of what to expect from future presentations. Today, we will be sharing a poem with which you are all familiar, a folk tale about the origin of the term baker's dozen, a skit from somebody named Burns and Allen, and finally a mystery, The Voice on the Wire. No props, no costumes, no running around the stage, just pure entertainment. Now, for the comfort of everyone, audience and actors, please silence your cell phones. If a cell phone does go off during our performance, the offender will be escorted from the room by our Sergeant at Arms, David Kirkland. Raise your hand, Dave. Okay? And locked in solitary confinement until our production is complete. Without further ado, our first presentation, written by Ernest Thayer in 1888, Casey at the Bat. Susan Sabino, Suzanne Isaacs, Vicky DePiero, and Jane Wood.
Gosh, I had no idea it goes back to 1888.
The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day.
The score stood 4-2 with but one more inning to play.
And then when Cooney died at first and Burroughs did the same,
a sickly silence fell upon the patrons of the game.
A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest
Clung to that hope which springs eternal in the human breast.
they thought if only Casey could get but a whack at that.
Would put up even money now with Casey at the bat.
but Flynn preceded Casey.
As did also Jimmy Blake.
The former was a crazy man.
And the latter was a flake.
So upon that stricken multitude grim melancholy sat.
For there seemed but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single.
To the wonderment of all.
And Blake, the much despised,
To the wonderment of all. Tore the cover off the ball.
And when the dust had lifted,
All saw what had occurred.
There was Jimmy, safe at second.
and Flynn a hugging third.
Then from 5,000 throats and more, there rose a lusty yell.
It rumbled through the valley.
it rattled in the dell.
It knocked upon the mountain and recoiled upon the flat.
For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat.
There was ease in Casey's manner.
As he stepped into his place,
There was pride in Casey's being.
and a smile on Casey's face.
And when, responding to the cheers,
He lightly doffed his hat.
No stranger in the crowd could doubt.
'twas Casey at the bat.
10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt.
5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on the shirt.
Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip,
Defiance gleamed in Casey's eye. A sneer curled his lip.
And now, the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air.
And Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there.
close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped.
That ain't my style, said Casey, as the umpire said,
Strike one.
From the benches black with people,
There went up a muffled roar.
like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore.
Kill the ump!
Kill the ump!
shouted someone in the crowd, and it's likely they had killed him had not Casey raised a hand.
With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone.
He stilled the rising tumult.
He bade the game go on.
He signaled to the pitcher.
And once more, the spheroid flew.
But Casey still ignored it.
And the umpire said,
Strike two!
Fraud! Cried the maddening crowds.
and echo answered,
Fraud!
But one scornful look from Casey and the audience was awed.
They saw his face grow stern and cold.
They saw his muscles strain.
And they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again.
The sneer is gone from Casey's lip.
His teeth are clenched in hate.
He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate.
And now the pitcher holds the ball.
Now he lets it go.
Then the air is shattered.
By the force of Casey's blow.
Oh, somewhere in this favored land,
The sun is shining bright.
The band is playing somewhere.
And somewhere, hearts are light.
and somewhere people are laughing.
And somewhere children shout.
But there is no joy in Mudville.
The mighty Casey has struck out.
Our next presentation is a folk tale written by Aaron Shepard, explaining why a baker's dozen is not 12. Jane Wood, Vicki DePiro, John DePiro, Rose Condon, Bruce Furbish, and Joe Compton.
In the Dutch colonial town, later known as Albany, New York, there lived a baker, von Amsterdam, who was as honest as he could be.
Each morning, he checked and balanced his scales, and he took great care to give customers exactly what they paid for. Not more, not less.
Von Amsterdam's shop was always busy because people trusted him and because he was a good baker as well. And never was the shop busier in the days leading up to December 6th, St. Nicholas Day.
At that time of year, people flocked to the baker's shop to buy his fine St. Nicholas cookies.
Made of gingerbread, iced in red and white, they look just like St. Nicholas, as the Dutch know him.
Tall and thin, with a high red bishop's cap and a long red bishop's cloak.
One St. Nicholas Day morning, the baker was just ready for business when the door of his shop flew open.
In walked an old woman, dressed, wrapped in a long black shawl.
I've come for a dozen of your St. Nicholas cookies.
Taking a tray, von Amsterdam counted out 12 cookies. He started to wrap them, but the woman reached out and stopped him.
I asked for a dozen. You've given me only 12.
Madam, everyone knows that a dozen is 12.
But I say a dozen is 13.
Von Amsterdam was not a man to bear foolishness.
Madam, my customers get exactly what they pay for. Not more and not less.
Then you may just keep your cookies.
She turned to go, but stopped at the door.
But Amsterdam, however honest you may be, excuse me, your heart is hard and your fist is tight. Fall again, mount again. Learn how to count again.
Then she was gone.
From that day on, everything went wrong in von Amsterdam's bakery.
His bread rose too high or not at all.
His pies were sour or too sweet.
His cakes crumbled or were chewy.
And his cookies were burnt or doughy.
His customers soon noticed the difference. Before long, most of them were going to other bakers.
That old woman has bewitched me. Is this how my honesty is rewarded?
A year passed.
The baker grew poorer and poorer.
Since he sold little, he baked little, and his shelves were nearly bare. His last few customers slipped away.
Finally, on the day before St. Nicholas Day, not one customer came to von Amsterdam's shop.
At day's end, the baker sat alone, staring at his unsold St. Nicholas cookies.
I wish St. Nicholas could help me now.
Then he closed his shop and went sadly to bed.
That night, the baker had a dream. He was a boy again, one in a crowd of happy children. And there, in the midst of them, was St. Nicholas himself.
The bishop's white horse stood beside him, its baskets filled with gifts. Nicholas pulled out one gift after another and handed them to the children.
But von Amsterdam noticed something strange. No matter how many presents Nicholas passed out, there were always more to give.
In fact, the more he took from the baskets, the more they seemed to hold.
Then Nicholas handed a gift to von Amsterdam. It was one of the baker's own St. Nicholas cookies.
Von Amsterdam looked up to thank him, but it was no longer St. Nicholas standing there.
Smiling down at him was the old woman with the long black shawl.
Von Amsterdam awoke with a start. Moonlight shone through the half-closed shutters as he lay there, thinking.
I always give my customers exactly what they ask for. Not more and not less. But why not give more?
The next morning, St. Nicholas Day, the baker rose early.
He mixed his gingerbread dough and rolled it out.
He molded the shapes and baked bread.
He iced them in red and white to look just like St. Nicholas.
And the cookies were as fine as he had ever made.
Von Amsterdam had just finished when the door flew open. In walked the old woman with the long black shawl.
I've come for a dozen of your St. Nicholas cookies.
In great excitement, von Amsterdam counted out 12 cookies.
And one more.
In this shop, from now on, a dozen is 13.
Ah, you have learned well. You have learned to count well. You will surely be rewarded.
She paid for the cookies and started out. But as the door swung shut, the baker's eyes seemed to play a trick on him.
He thought he glimpsed the tail end of a long red cloak.
As the old woman foretold, von Amsterdam was rewarded. When people heard he counted 13 as a dozen, he had more customers than ever.
In fact, von Amsterdam grew so wealthy that the other bakers in town began doing the same.
From there, the practice spread to other towns and at last through all the American colonies.
And this, they say, is how 13 became a baker's dozen.
A custom common for over a century.
And alive in most places to this day.
Now for a change of pace. For many years, George Burns and Gracie Allen delighted generations of people on radio and television. It's my pleasure to bring you Gracie Allen and George Burns, as presented by Debbie and Roger Todd.
That's a pretty dress.
I'm glad you like it. It's my dress for Tuesday night. My sisters, Jean and Alice, are going too. They're twins, you know.
I didn't know you had twin sisters?
Well, they really should be triplets. I think Alice is two-faced.
So, do they look exactly alike?
Oh, yes, exactly alike.
Was it hard to tell them apart?
Standing up or sitting down?
What difference does that make?
Well, we've noticed that when Alice sits down and Jean stands up,
Jean seems taller.
yes, even though they look exactly alike, it's easy to tell them apart because Alice is married.
And Jean is single?
No, Jean's single as well.
So, how do you tell them apart?
Oh, Jean's the one with the swimming pool.
And Alice?
She sleeps on the floor.
Alice sleeps on the floor.
She has high blood pressure, and she's trying to keep it down.
But Jean is the one with the swimming pool.
Oh, yes. We were there just yesterday. We had so much fun. We were doing diving and doing backflips and going from one end of the pool to the other. They say we will have even more fun tomorrow when they put water in it.
Well, exercise is good for you.
Exercise is good for you. That's why we took the old woman with us.
You took your mother?
No, we took that old woman that lives with Alice. She's been with her for about 5 weeks now.
So, this old woman is your aunt?
We don't know who she is. She wanders around the house and does whatever she wants.
Okay, now let me get this straight. There's an old woman who wanders around your sister's house and does everything she wants, and you don't know who she is.
That's right. You see, Alice bought a raffle ticket.
A raffle ticket.
They were having a raffle for a poor old woman, and
And your sister won.
that's right.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
For 40 years, radio was the center of family entertainment across America. From the 1920s into the 1960s, people watched their radio, listening to music, comedy, drama, and news from across the nation. Today we present a Reader's Theater adaptation of a radio mystery, A Voice on the Wire, first broadcast on the series Inner Sanctum on the 29th of November, 1944. Yeah, some of you remember that, right? Okay. Our players are Bruce Furbish, Rose Condon, John DePiro, Debbie Todd, and myself. There's no doubt the telephone is an ingenious invention. But as far as I know, no one as yet has ever been able to commit murder over it, although many people have wanted to. Still, there are worse things you can get on the phone than a wrong number, especially if you happen to call the voice on the wire. On a long, narrow island just off the shore of one of our larger lakes, Mrs. Geraldine Jerry Reeves, widow of the late composer David Reeves, lives alone in a gaunt, gray shingled house. Only a few hundred yards away are the charred remains of her former home, where David was burned to death in a fire just 2 years ago. It's after dinner now, and as the clock in the hall strikes 8, Dr. Pressing says,
You've got to get hold of yourself, Geraldine.
I can't help it, Doctor. You see, it starts every night about this time.
What starts?
The music. David's last composition. I hear it being played on a piano, and the notes seem to come from the old house, the house where David died in the fire.
Well, perhaps someone is playing that piano. Someone on the island.
No, there's only one other house out here, and those people are away. And a dog keeps howling all night.
What dog?
I don't know. There's no dog on the island, but David and I did have a dog, remember? He stayed with David the night of the fire. He died with him because David was too ill to get out of bed.
Suddenly, a dog howls outside, barking and baying.
There it is again.
It's amazing. That's a real dog. Somewhere on the island.
Do you think so?
Why, of course. Probably some stray got across the bridge or swam over from the shore.
Well, you see,
The phone starts to ring.
Oh, excuse me, doctor.
Certainly.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Mrs. Geraldine Reeves?
Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Listen.
Over the phone, an ominous classical piano theme plays a few bars, then ends abruptly.
Good heavens.
You have 4 hours to live, Mrs. Reeves. 4 hours to live.
What? What did you say?
The phone is immediately disconnected.
Hello?
What's the matter, Geraldine?
The music. The same music. I heard it again.
What?
Over the phone. Someone's playing it on the piano.
It must be some sort of a prank.
No. A man spoke to me. He said I have 4 hours to live.
4 hours? Here, let me have that phone.
No. It's no use. He's rung off.
Well, we might be able to trace the call.
The doctor clicks the cradle several times.
Hello? Operator? Operator?
Somebody's trying to kill me.
Hello, operator?
The doctor continues to click the cradle.
Operator?
What's wrong, doctor?
I'm afraid the wires have been cut. We'd better get into my car and drive into town right away.
Yes. It isn't safe for me to stay here another minute.
The doctor gets in the car, but the engine refuses to start.
I can't understand it. The motor won't turn over. Somebody must have meddled with this car while we were in the house.
Well, try my car, doctor.
I think perhaps I'd better. Is it in the garage?
Yes, I left it. Great heavens, it's gone. The garage is empty. The car's been stolen.
Now let's not lose our heads, Geraldine.
But,
We're not completely cut off yet. If we can't use a car, we can still walk.
but it's almost a mile to the bridge, and the road is so dark down by the water.
It won't be too dark with a flashlight. We could go down through the woods to the edge of the water and walk along the shore.
They start trudging over gravel, but then stop suddenly.
Oh, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
I just remembered David's brother is driving out here tonight.
Harvey?
Yes, and his wife Laura. They said they'd be here by 8:30, and if we wait for them, they can take us back in their car. What do you think, Doctor?
Well, that's safer than trying to make it alone. If we wait right here, perhaps we can watch the bridge and see them coming. Heaven's sakes, Geraldine, what are you staring at?
The bridge, Doctor, the bridge, look! This end of it's been washed out.
The wind begins howling, blowing harder and harder.
Oh, Doctor, this is crazy. Searching for a telephone wire in the back of the house. If we're seen out here, there's no telling what might happen.
Please, Geraldine, we've got to find out where that wire was cut and splice it together again. It's our only chance of reaching the police.
But it's almost 9 o'clock. We've wasted an hour already. If I'm not out of here by 12...
Stop it, Geraldine, stop it.
I didn't mean to.
The dog begins howling, then barks, and bays briefly.
What's that?
It's the dog again. That confounded dog is tied up around here somewhere.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant the light on the road. There's a strange light on the road.
The headlight of a car. It's coming this way.
A car?
There's the sound of an approaching automobile.
Yes, quick, behind the house and stay out of sight. It's turning into the driveway.
How could a car have come out onto the island with that bridge out?
Shh,
The auto slows to a stop.
they're getting out.
Oh, why, it's Harvey and Laura.
Good heavens.
Oh, Harvey.
Hello!
Harvey, oh, Harvey,
Well, for Pete's sake, Jerry, what are you doing? Playing hide and seek with us back there?
Oh, Harvey, I'm so glad you came.
Jerry, what's the matter?
Oh, Laura, everything. But first, you've got to tell us how you got here.
Why, we just drove over the bridge and up the road the way we always do.
But how could you drive over the bridge? It's been washed out.
What?
Well, I saw it with my own eyes, and Dr. Pressing saw it too, didn't you, Doctor?
I certainly did.
Oh, you must be mistaken. We drove over the bridge not more than 2 minutes ago.
Are you sure you haven't been on that island longer than that?
Oh, I'm positive.
Well, some very strange things have been happening here tonight. Geraldine's life was threatened. Her car stolen and mine tampered with.
What?
What are you talking about?
Look, I'll show you. The starter in my car won't even turn the motor over. Here.
To everyone's surprise, the automobile engine roars to life with no problem.
My George is working now.
Say, what is this, Jerry? Have you and the doctor been taking a few pills? Or did you drink too much wine at dinner?
Oh, no. Everything he said is true. Even the telephone wires have been...
Suddenly, a phone rings in the distance.
I must be going out of my mind. That is my telephone ringing, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Aren't you going to answer it?
I'm almost afraid to. Come with me, Harvey, will you, while I do?
Sure.
Everyone pauses as the phone rings, growing louder. Then Geraldine picks up the receiver.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Reeves?
Yes?
Listen.
Over the phone comes an ominous classical piano tune. A few bars. The music quits abruptly.
It's 9 o'clock, Mrs. Reeves. You have 3 hours to live.
I can't stand this waiting, this endless waiting. Why don't the police come?
Easy now, Jerry. They'll be here. You only phoned them a few minutes ago.
But something can happen before they get here.
I have a gun ready, just in case anything should happen, and I won't hesitate to use it.
You have a gun, Doctor?
Why, yes. Geraldine gave it to me before you arrived.
Oh.
What's the matter? You trust me with a gun, don't you?
Why, of course I do.
Laura, what is it?
A face at the window. I just saw a face at the window.
Laura, please, you're letting your imagination run away with you.
No, I saw it. Right there. The face of a dead man.
Quick, Harvey, out the back way.
Right.
Please don't leave us.
We'll be right outside the window.
Jerry, I'm afraid.
Well, there's nothing we can do, Laura. They won't be far away.
But I don't trust Dr. Pressing.
Why? Why not?
Well, you shouldn't have given him that gun. You never should have given him that gun.
Why?
Because I think he's a murderer.
Laura!
Yes. Don't you remember how he acted at the trial when you were accused of starting the fire that killed David?
But
he testified against you time and again, subtly, to make them think you did it, because he started that fire himself.
What on earth are you saying?
I'm telling you the truth. During the trial, he swore that he wasn't on the island the night of the fire. But he was, and I can prove it
How?
by the cigarette case of his. Here, look at it. You see how it's charred and melted on the side where his initials were? He must have left it in the fire by mistake.
But he couldn't have. The police searched everything the next morning. They would have found it in the ashes.
Not if it wasn't there. He came back for it that same night, as soon as he missed it, and dragged it out of the fire. He knew it would incriminate him if it were found in his possession. So he threw it in the lake as he drove home over the bridge. And that's where we found it, in the water, the last time we were here.
Oh, Laura, I hope you're wrong.
So do I. But if I'm right, we're all in for...
Laura, the lights. Somebody's turned off the lights.
Ah!
Laura, where are you?
Jerry, the door. Coming through the door. It's a face I saw at the...
Laura!
Laura has dropped to the floor, unmoving.
It was meant to be me, Harvey. Whoever came through that door meant to kill me.
Jerry, please. How is Laura, doctor?
I'm afraid I can't do anything for her, Harvey. She's passed on.
Oh, Laura. Laura, my darling.
You better not touch the body, Harvey.
Oh, leave me alone. You've done enough already, Dr. Pressing.
I beg your pardon?
You have a lot of explaining to do when the police arrive, doctor. I'll tell them how you ran away from me out there before the lights went out, and how you were here in this room when they went on again.
Harvey, don't say things you'll regret later.
Just a moment. Where is the cigarette case Laura had in her hand when the lights went out?
What cigarette case?
You know the one I mean, Dr. Pressing. The gold one that was charred in the fire.
I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about.
I have. And if you're as innocent as you claim to be, you won't mind being searched.
Not at all. Go ahead.
I will.
Whom are you calling, Geraldine?
The police. I can't understand why they haven't arrived yet. It's almost 10 o'clock.
Well, maybe something's happened to them on the way. Maybe their car broke down.
Their car too?
Huh?
Nothing. Only it seems as if yours is the only car that works when you want it to.
Headquarters.
Oh, Sergeant, I can't understand why your men aren't here yet. A murder's been committed.
Do you think you've been calling the police department all this time, Mrs. Reeves?
Over the phone comes the same ominous classical piano tune. A few bars, and it ends abruptly.
David's music?
It's 10 o'clock, Mrs. Reeves. You have 2 more hours.
A little later, there's a light knock on Geraldine's bedroom door.
Jerry, are you in your room?
Yes, Harvey. What is it?
This is our chance, Jerry. We've got to run away from Dr. Pressing now while we're alone.
Yes, of course, Harvey, but how will we go?
In my car. It's just... Wait a minute, listen.
What is it?
It sounded like footsteps in the living room. Pressing must be in there.
No, I saw him go outside. He said he wanted to see if he could find the dog.
Well, there's someone in there. I'm going to find out who it is.
Be careful, Harvey. He may be standing just outside the door.
Yeah, all right. You stay behind me.
The living room door opens. Everyone becomes silent.
Is anybody there? Is anybody in the living room?
No, there doesn't seem to be.
Don't overlook me, Harvey.
Well, Dr. Pressing, you've been standing at this door with your ear to the keyhole.
No, not exactly.
I thought you were supposed to be outside looking for that dog.
I was outside for a while, but I saw someone moving around in here, so I came back. When I got here, your wife's body was gone.
What?
What?
Gone? Laura's body gone?
I assume that it's gone. It's not where it was on the floor.
How could, look here, Pressing, you were alone in this room.
And so were you. After I left, wasn't he, Geraldine?
Well, yes, now that I think back, he was.
Certainly. What's more, Geraldine saw me leave the house. And when I left, the body was still here. After that, I don't know what happened.
What are you driving at?
Draw your own conclusions.
Why, I oughta.
Harvey, stop it, stop it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jerry,
The dog howls again, then barks and bays briefly.
The dog again.
Yeah, I can't understand why you didn't find that dog, Dr. Pressing. He must be right out there where the old house used to be.
Well, if you think you can find him, why don't you go there? Good heavens, man.
What?
Look, there's a fire burning out here.
On the grounds of the old house.
Pressing, you started that fire yourself, and you're burning Laura's body in it to cover up your crime.
Harvey, where are you going?
I'm going to the fire, Jerry. I've got to stop it. I've got to put it out.
I'm gonna lose my mind if someone doesn't stop these awful things from happening. Won't anybody help us?
Easy, Geraldine. The man who hopes to kill you is trying to break you down first. It's part of his plan. Here, take a sip of this brandy. It'll help you.
All right, thank you, doctor.
What's the matter?
Oh, nothing really. I just don't care for any brandy right now.
What's wrong with it?
Well, I didn't say anything was wrong with it. I just don't.
You fool, do you think I'm trying to poison you?
I don't know what to think.
Here, give me the brandy. I'll drink it myself. There, believe me now?
I don't believe anyone.
Listen to me, Geraldine. I'm the best friend you have in the world right now. You've got to understand that, because there isn't much more time. We've got to get away from Harvey while he's still out there.
What do you mean?
Can't you see he's trying to kill you?
That's a lie.
It isn't, Geraldine. Harvey's the one that's lied to us. He and Laura both. They intended to kill you when the lights went out. But in the darkness, Harvey made a fatal mistake. He thought it was you he was strangling, not Laura.
I won't believe that.
It's the truth. They never drove across the bridge at 9 o'clock tonight. They've been here on the island all evening.
How do you know?
Because we saw that bridge with our own eyes. And I saw it again just 5 minutes ago. It's still down.
You're lying.
Come on, let's see for yourself.
You're just trying to get me out of this house.
Stop being such a fool. Here, take this gun. If it'll give you any security, take it. And hold it in my back while we're out there. But for heaven's sake, let's get away from Harvey while there's still a chance.
All right, give me the gun.
Here.
Now, you keep in front of me all the time. And I'm warning you, if you make one false move, I'll kill you in cold blood.
The wind gusts and blows all around.
You see? Harvey and Laura were lying to us. The bridge is still down.
You're right. They couldn't have come across that bridge.
Of course not. The only trouble is we can't get back over it either.
We've got to get away, Doctor. Now, before we're seen.
What about that house at the other end of the island?
People are away.
But they might have a boat.
Yes, of course they do have a boat. We can row to the mainland. Come on, quick.
All right.
I have a feeling we're being followed.
It's your imagination. Hurry, Geraldine, hurry.
The dog starts howling, this time nearby.
We are being followed, Doctor. Look behind us. There's a man with a dog.
Good heavens, it's just like the dog you owned. The one that died in the fire.
Yes, and the man? It's David.
The dog starts, yip, yip, boo.
We've lost them in the woods.
They can't be far behind.
Doesn't matter now, the house is just ahead.
But the boat, Doctor, the boat is not at the landing.
It must be.
Well, it isn't. Can't you see it isn't?
Perhaps it's around and back.
No, that side of the house faces the road.
Then we'll have to break in, here, until morning. Our best chance is to be inside where we can protect ourselves. After all, you still have a gun.
But I hardly know how to use it.
Then give it to me.
No,
You still don't trust me, do you?
I don't know, Doctor, but I'm the one who's been threatened, so I really should have the gun.
Very well. Wait here. I'll break through the window and come around on the inside.
Did you hurt yourself?
No, I'm all right. Just wait there for me and I'll unlock the door.
Again, the dog starts howling nearby.
Oh, hurry, Doctor, please hurry. They're on our trail again.
Come inside, Geraldine, quickly. And look, lock the door behind you.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. We're in luck. There's a phone here, if it hasn't been disconnected. Hello, hello, operator.
This isn't the operator. Tell Mrs. Reeves it's 11 o'clock. She has 1 more hour to live.
11:30?
I won't leave this house. I'm not going to run away any longer. If they're going to kill me, let them come here and do it. Only for heaven's sakes, why don't they do it right away? Why don't they come here and get it over with instead of waiting till 12 o'clock?
Geraldine, please.
Well, I can't stand it any longer. I'd rather die than go through any more of this torture. I just can't.
Sit down for a moment. Relax. And try to ease your mind.
Oh, for...
The ominous classical piano music begins again, but this time in the same room.
Dr. Pressing, what are you doing?
Playing the piano. I thought it might relax you.
But that melody, you're the one I hear at night playing David's music, playing it right here in this house.
Yes, Geraldine. I rented this house to protect you from David and the dog.
Well, stop it. Stop playing that piece. Stop it.
You didn't know that David would come back to life, did you, Geraldine?
Now stay where you are. Stay.
Don't be afraid. I won't harm you. As long as you have that gun. But that gun won't stop David.
David's dead.
Is he? Listen.
The dog howls very close this time.
It's right outside the door. And in a moment he'll be here to take you with him.
No! David! David!
Yes, Geraldine. I've come back to see you in spite of everything you've done.
Stop!
You killed me, didn't you, darling? You started that fire because you knew I was too much of an invalid to get out of bed.
Stay where you are.
You hated me, Geraldine.
Stop!
No!
All of a sudden, 2 pistol shots ring out.
Your bullets can't harm me now. Nothing you can do can harm me because I'm dead and you're still alive.
David, forgive me. I didn't know what I was doing that night. Please believe me. I was sorry as soon as I started that fire, but it was too late then. I couldn't put it out. I just couldn't.
How dare you? How dare you ask my forgiveness? You're still lying.
But I'm not lying. I'm not. I told you everything.
Why didn't you tell the police?
Because I wanted to live.
You'll confess everything now?
Oh, yes, David. Yes, I will, if you'll only leave me alone. Please. It was my cigarette case Laura found in the water. I'd thrown it over the bridge that same night after I took it out of the fire.
Well, I guess that's all we need, Harvey. A full confession and 2 witnesses.
Harvey?
Yes, Geraldine. I do look like my brother in this dim light. And the dog Laura's holding outside is the same breed as the one you own.
Laura? Did you say Laura was alive?
Very much so, Geraldine. Wasn't hard for me to pretend being dead with the doctor keeping you away from my body.
Then you were all in this together. You forced this confession out of me.
Yes, Geraldine. The blank cartridges Dr. Pressing slipped into the gun of yours really turned the trick.
The phone rings abruptly.
Oh, excuse me. Hello? Oh, hello, Inspector. Yes, that's all right now. You can hook the wires up again. She's told us the truth. And you better get to work on that bridge right away. It's, still down.
Well, what an outrage. All those opportunities for murder and not a drop of blood spilled all night long. Oh well, some days you can't even lay away a corpse. I hope that you have enjoyed this first presentation of Reader's Theater. If so, please let everybody know. Go tell Felicia. Okay? If you would like to join this band of crazy people, visit with any of us and we'll get you involved as soon as possible. Our next presentation will be April 22nd at 2 p.m. right here in our own Eagle Auditorium. Until then, may God's shalom rest upon you, and be careful out there. There's old people driving around.